Hello and welcome to this week's Women's Football Chat. My name is Chris Gadsby. I'm here every Thursday at 6 p.m, bringing you the very latest from the third and fourth tiers of women's football here in England. That's the FA Women's National League. Now, of course, we are still in the off-season, so there isn't a huge amount to bring you this week. Of course, the Women's World Cup is well underway as well, providing us with plenty of football to watch on the TV. Outside of watching it on the TV, though, pre-season for the 72 FAWNL sides is well underway. Teams playing games on a relatively regular basis, although we are seeing quite a lot of games being postponed because teams aren't able to get 11 or 15 players together to fulfil these fixtures. So hopefully that's not an omen of things to come. Seems to be a case that I'm seeing it a bit more regularly than last season. So yes, pre-season is well underway across the FAWNL. Opening day of the season, of course, now just 4 weeks away, 3-4 weeks away, 20th of August, the same day as the Women's World Cup final. But I have been informed that opening day is not negotiable at all. And even if England women get to the World Cup final, then opening day of the season is the 20th of August. So hopefully, if that's the case, then there'll be some get-togethers. For example, being able to open a clubhouse up, have it on a big screen, people get there early, that sort of thing, maybe. Obviously, that's down to individual clubs. But opening day of the season on the 20th of August. Ahead of that new season, we have been given from the FAWNL, very rare tweet from them, but a tweet from the FAWNL nonetheless, a picture of the new ball for the next season. The Mitre ball, Ultimax Evo, they're calling it. It's they've given us the first team and the reserve team balls. It looks, if you want my honest opinion, I don't like it. I think it's something about the texture of it. Well, what looks to be the texture of it with all these lines crisscrossing everywhere on it. The actual design is fine. It's more just the texture of it and all these kind of what look like dips in the ball, which I presume are something science related. But for me, maybe in person I'll like it. Maybe I'm going to a pre-season game on Sunday. Maybe if one comes my way and I happen to catch it, I'll like it in person. But on the picture, it for me doesn't look too great. But maybe it'll grow on me. You never know. Speaking of fixtures coming up, the league posted the opening day of the season fixtures on July the 17th, which was obviously last week. In a rush to get those out, obviously I've created all new templates for next season. One of them slipped through the net when I was trying to get it out in a hurry, and I believe I had QPR. I had QPR against Chesham, still at Forest's old ground. I'm quite sure how I managed that. At the Howbrook Stadium. That's obviously not being played up in Nottinghamshire. When we come round to previewing these fixtures on the opening day of the season, which is on the 20th, so the show will be on the 17th. So in 3 weeks' time, obviously that's all. I've already fixed it, but that'll all be fixed because that was just me trying to rush and get it out quickly. Speaking though of the league again, I've been kind of having a look through at those graphics. We have one mistake already. Not even got to the opening day of the season, but they're still using Ashford Town's old logo. Ashford Town have changed logo. That's on there. And we are still waiting, despite the fact that the Cup fixtures came out a long time ago, that the league have not posted what the Cup fixtures are. All the clubs have. The clubs have posted what the fixtures are, but the league have not. So whether they are just doing that nearer the time or what, I don't know. But we are still waiting for the league to say what the Cup fixtures are. Then we're going to speak about cups. We have reached the end of the 2023 Summer Knockout. So we had some issues with it early on with Elon making Twitter go bad, for want of a better phrase. But with over 1,000 votes in the final, after knocking out defending champions Cheshire United in the semi-final, Wolves went one better this year. And with 689 votes, which is 64.4% of the votes in the final, Wolverhampton Wanderers beat Norton and Stockton Ancients in the final. So Wolves are, according to the fan vote, the most popular team in the FAWNL and the fan favourite in the FAWNL. Haven't yet gone through and added up all of the votes over the course of the Summer Knockout Tournament, but we're talking probably around the kind of 4,000 range, something like that, which is down on last year when it was done entirely on Twitter. Am I surprised? No, because Twitter messed it up. I had to go elsewhere and see. It's a lot easier to just press a button on Twitter while you're scrolling than it is to go to a completely different site and then press a button. So not surprised on that, but thank you to everybody who did vote. So that is news from around the league that I've seen of significance. Obviously, players are starting now to be signed and registered with their teams. I'll get onto the registration in a moment because that's causing me all sorts of headaches. So other things to note, and this is now all about the show. Predictor League is open. So obviously the opening day of the fixtures on the 20th. If you think you know which way all the games are going to go, then join our Predictor League. If you go onto my website, www.womensfootballchat.wordpress.com, you can then click on the Predictor League and join up and predict all of the results throughout the course of the season. See how you do in comparison to everybody else. 1 point if you get the correct winner, 2 points if you get the correct winner with the correct goal difference, and 4 points if you get the exact right score. I have a league set up for every division, all 6 of them, and if you can join 1, you can join 2, you can join all 6 of them if you want, as long as you get your predictions in by midday on a Sunday or 5:45 on a midweek game. We'll see who can predict games the best in the FAWNL, proving to be quite difficult, must say. With I know Forest did a 4-1 victory over Rugby last night. Newcastle just got past Norton. Peterborough did well against MK Dons. Did that finish as a 3-3 draw? Did Peterborough win that? I can't remember off the top of my head. Yeah, very, very interesting pre-season results coming in. Oxford lost 5-1 to Watford as well. So plenty of interesting results coming in. If you think you know which way they're going to go next season, then join the Predictor League. And finally, we will have a look at the fantasy football, because fantasy football is going live next Thursday on next week's show. I have got there and I've sorted it, user interface all done, and everything like that. So if we have a look at the fantasy spreadsheet, you can see what we have here is the this is kind of like the stats page. So what we have here, all the players in alphabetical order by surname, the team they play for, position, and their value in millions of pounds. Now, you will see if I scroll all the way down to the bottom, we only have at the moment 105 players in the Northern Premier Division. I've only done the Northern Premier at the moment, but now I've done one, I can just copy it across, just change the players. It's easy. You'll notice, of course, we've only got, 9 goalkeepers in. This is because the only players on fantasy at the moment are ones where they are registered, because some teams like Burnley, like Stoke, like Wolves Wolves have registered one, haven't registered any of their players on full time yet. So only registered players are obviously take part in fantasy. Of the registered players, only those where I know their position, because not every team on their website has put the player on there. And if they're returning stats from last season, that's easy enough. If they are new into the league, where they've come from, so we can give them a value. So that's why there's only like 9 goalkeepers. Player values start at £4 million. I said I was going to do a bit of reshuffling as I went along. £4 million up to whatever their stats said last year. So the way this is going to work is that if you are interested in taking part in fantasy, send me a message with your fantasy team and your email address, and I will get you onto the Google Doc. Now, the way it will work, we have one here already. This is just an example one that Nick from the Wolves Winning podcast sent me. He would call his Nick's Northern Champs. You'll see there's a padlock on there. So go on his. This is my kind of example page. Only myself and the player involved, i.e. in this case it would be Nick, but it would be you as well, would be able to edit the page so that nobody can come in and change your team. So this would be the page that you would see if you were playing fantasy. All of the players down on the left-hand side, again, this is locked to only me. So only I can edit these players down the side so you can't change their values and all the rest of it. And then this is your team. 4-4-2 formation with 4 substitutes, 1 in each position. This is very similar to how we've done it how I did it last time I showed you fantasy, but it's a bit more, it's further on than it was before. So all of the players in that position, if I just click on Jodie Bartle, for example, if I wanted to change her, these are all of the defenders in alphabetical order by surname, so they're easy to find. And then I have what's called cross lookups on all of the things underneath. So for example, if we change Jodie Bartle to, let's say, Naomi Bedu, just because it's the same team, you'll notice that the value changes as well. If we were to change it to Jessica Bate, the team and the value would change. So that's how you know that everything's working there. Then it comes to the, if you look down the bottom, team budget. You get £100 million for your 15 players. As you can see at the moment on this team, the player wages come to 98.8 million, which means that the team would be obviously accepted. If we change, for example, Bartle to Bedu, who has a much higher value because of the stats from last season, you'll notice that when you change that, the player wages go to 102.15 million, and that is over the budget, so the cell turns red. You can easily see that your team is not accepted. Similarly, you are only allowed 2 players per team in your 15, so you will have to use players from 8 teams out of the 12 in your fantasy team. If we change it to be more than 2 players per team, in the teams cell underneath the wages here, it comes up in red and says too many players from one side. Also, to help you with that, so you don't have to go searching, the list of teams just to the right of that, it tells you, and again comes up in green or red, which team you have too many players from. Here you can see there are too many players from Stourbridge. Of course, in this example, Burnley, Huddersfield, Feds and Stoke don't have any players in the squad because they haven't registered players on full time yet, so they're not actually on the system, which made it a bit more difficult for me when it came to trying to do this. So then you can see, okay, it's Stourbridge that's the problem here because I have 3 players from Stourbridge. You've got Ellie McGovern in midfield, and then I've got 2 of Jessica Bates in defence because it's just the example I was using. So that is fantasy football, really. And then, so they will go forward until like midday on Sunday, for example. And they will then be locked until, if there's midweek games, until after Thursday's game. If there are no midweek games, reopen it again. But essentially what will happen is the teams will get locked, and then I can then go through and go, okay, this is what all the players did. So Nick's Northern Champs, Emily Batty got 6 points, Bartle got 4, Bate got 4, Bickett got 5. Add them all up from the starting 11 and go, okay, you got 23 points that week. And then we will add up all of the scores each week, weekly winners, monthly winners, season winner. Very similar to Fantasy Premier League. If a player in your starting 11 doesn't play, then your substitute, defender, midfielder, forward, whatever, will come in. That's going to be the way that works. So I am heavily reliant on full time for all of the stats and getting the teams uploaded and things like that. So that's the one for the Northern Premier Division. I'll make them for the Southern and Division 1 North, Midlands, South East, South West, all the rest of it. But that is fantasy. It will be ready to go next Thursday. So if you want to take part in fantasy football, and again, please do bear with me, I'm not Fantasy Premier League. I'm one guy sitting in his study. So it will take me time to get up to speed with doing all of this, because I don't think this has ever been attempted before, but I'm going for it because why not? And see if we can get a bit more involvement in the show and make something even a bit more interesting with the league as well. Give people an extra reason to keep tabs on other fixtures that aren't necessarily their own. So that's fantasy football. And there we have it. Yeah. So, fantasy football, as I said, send me your team name and your email address if you want to get it, and which fantasy league you want to be involved in as well. That's an important point, so I don't put you in the wrong one. I'm going to keep checking on full-time, the registered players, all that sort of thing. So, more players will be added all the time. All of the rules for fantasy are on my website, www.womensfootballchat.wordpress.com. And as I said, Predictor League as well is open. That one's much more straightforward. Go to my website, click on the link, sign up, and then just do the predictions as you go through the season. So yes, that will about do it for this week's Women's Football Chat. Said not a huge amount going on. Just everyone ticking forward with pre-season, really. So teams. If there's anyone from teams watching, please register your players. And when you do register or announce a new signing, can I ask, can you please put what position they come in? Now, I've seen they playing, because I've seen so many signings so far where I've been adding them to my spreadsheet, which is now up at about 1,800 players, by the way. And they go, we've signed this player. There's no link to an article. There's a picture of the player holding the shirt up. It's like, we've signed this player. We're really excited to have them. It's like, where do they play? Where do they come from? Tell me anything about them. So it has been difficult at times. So again, bear with me. When fantasy starts, if there's anyone missing that you want to put in your team, or that you know where they play or the information from, and I've missed them on, just message me. I'll add them in. So it will be easy and we'll get there. But it should be a lot of fun. Get involved in FAWNL Fantasy. But that'll do it for this week's Women's Football Chat. Thank you very much for watching and or listening. I suspect, though, that if you have been listening to this week's show, you might want to go back and have a look at the video version as well, so you can see what I'm talking about when I was navigating around the Excel sheet. Yep, thank you very much for watching and or listening to this week's Women's Football Chat. Keep supporting your local team. Many of the pre-season games are open to the public. I know some are behind closed doors, but a lot of them aren't. And I'll be back next Thursday at 6 p.m, bringing you the very latest from the third and fourth tiers of women's football here in England. That's the FA Women's National League. Thank you very much for watching and or listening to this week's Women's Football Chat, and goodbye.